Tonight here on QCTV, a rematch of last year's Class AA Championship. Welcome to the Andover Community Center. I'm Jim Erickson, soon to be joined by Joe Ruland, and I'm joined by head coach Mark Manny of the Andover Huskies. The big rematch, first of two meetings here against Maple Grove, and right now your team coming off a big week last week, putting up a lot of goals and getting 3 wins.
Yeah, that was good to see the boys have some success after an up and down first half of the year, but Maple Grove won all 3 over the holidays too, so a couple teams trend in the right direction. Should be a good matchup tonight.
Reflect on that championship game. I know we look forward more than we look back, but that was just such a great game last March against this Crimson team.
Yeah, it sure was, and I spent a lot of time watching, kind of the old cliche, the hay's in the barn at that point, and the boys were flying up and down the ice, so like the other 18,000 or 19,000 in there, I was enjoying watching the game, and proud of the boys for getting it done, of course.
Looks like your special teams also starting to get it to click a little bit.
Yeah, we're getting it going on a power play. We had a miserable start, but it's been a lot better, and the penalty kill too. We're a little more aggressive, a little more comfortable, and that's what happens when you're breaking in some new guys, so we're battling through it.
What is it about this Maple Grove team that worries you here tonight? What will you have to do to get a win?
They got a lot of speed. Their depth is always so good, and they're well coached. So the typical things, they're going to be a tough opponent, and we'll have to battle, and it'll probably come down to a goal in the third period.
All right, the old barn should be hopping tonight, huh, Mark?
I sure hope so,
Right,
yeah.
Mark, thank you very much. Good luck tonight.
Thank you, Jim.
Mark Manny, coach of the Andover Huskies. Joe and I will have the drop of the puck for you coming up next. It's Andover and Maple Grove on QCTV Sports. Back to the fence, and that's gone.
There it is. Ace to win the set. It's caught. 20, 10, touchdown.
This is going to be in the gap.
A shot! Yes! Goal! Go to the deflection. The Andover Huskies win their first state championship.
From the Andover Community Center, a big matchup, first of 2 in a rematch of last year's Class AA state championship game in front of 19,000 fans at the XL Energy Center. A little bit fewer than that here tonight, certainly, but this place is going to be packed. Standing room only at the Andover Community Center with the Maple Grove Crimson at 9-2, taking on the 7-4-1 Andover Huskies, along with Joe Ruland. I'm Jim Erickson, and Joe, this is the matchup. This is the one we circled when we knew they would play because they're from the same conference. This is the one that we circled before the season started.
Oh, there's always a lot of juice, and let's take a quick look at the state title rematch there. You have Maple Grove comes in, as we said, 9-2. Huskies 7-4-1. There's just natural juice with this. The leading scorer is Finn Brook, 11 goals, along with the leading scorer for the Huskies in Cooper Conway with 10 goals of his own. The goaltending the key as well, as you have Altman for the Huskies, 5-2-1, matched up against Jack Roach between the pipes tonight with the goals against of 1.78. But these two teams just naturally bring a lot of juice. You can take a look at those past 5 games. But with it, they just always manage to elevate each other's play. And last year, Jim, and kudos went out, best game in the history of boys state high school tournaments.
Yeah, and certainly both of these programs and coaches have tremendous respect for each other, and that's the first thing that our coaches, both Todd Berglund from Maple Grove and Mark Manny, mention when they talk about each other's program. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for head coach Mark Manny in his 14th year. 223 career wins here at Andover, including that state championship a year ago. And they're starting that top line, which had a great week last week. In the 3 games last week, that team combined for 31 points, 13 goals, and 18 assists with Conway, Casey, and Thorson.
Yeah, it does. And they bring a lot of juice, but they have 27 goals they've scored this season, that first line. They need that depth coming from that second and third line as well, as you saw Tristan May Robinson, Cogswell, and then also in goal tonight will be Bo Altman. Altman comes in with a goals against of 2.69 and a save percentage just north of 900.
Meanwhile, Maple Grove starting their top line of Brink, Kernan, and Steenerson. They also have outstanding numbers. Big night tonight, big crowd, and time for the national anthem. Andover Pep Band getting us set here. Nothing like having the band at the game here tonight. The Andover Community Center. You see the Maple Grove Crimson, 4th ranked in the state under head coach Todd Berglund in his 8th season, 143 career victories, runners up last year. Mentioned that Brink, Kernan, and Steenerson line. Steenerson has been hot. He has points in all the games here this season, that top line for Maple Grove. Great matchup between the two top lines, and you're going to get into your keys to the game, I know, Joe. And certainly one of the things here is going to be the depth, because it almost looks like the top two teams for these the top two lines for these two teams could cancel each other out. It depends on who's going to come through.
And there you look at the keys of the game, too, the specialty teams. I cannot believe the numbers that the Crimson are putting up on their power play. 51% proficiency on their power play. Meanwhile, Andover has been straggling until the last 3 games where they've improved their power play to about 35%. Meanwhile, second and third line production, you look at the top 2 lines for these two teams. Maple Grove putting up 28 goals for that number 1 line, for Andover 27. Both teams need production from that second and third line, and then consistent goaltending. That's what they need to hear tonight, and some solid goaltending play. That will be the difference.
Caden Casey and Jack Kernan centering the lines here, and we are underway. The puck is down, and Maple Grove in their crimson uniforms on the road go back into their own zone to reset and start things here with Luke Marganeau. Had a goal last week against St. Michael Albertville, a 2-goal game against Cretin, and he brings it into the near side, feeds it ahead for Kernan. Chips it off the glass, far side. Casey, far side. Conway with a solid check. We're going to get a penalty off of that check right into the bench area. It is going to be an elbow and a quick power play here for the Maple Grove Crimson, and we are just 22 seconds into the game.
Well, that's going to be on Conway. He's been whistled there, and that will be the penalty kill. That's been a situation here up until the last few games that have been bothersome. We just talked about the power play proficiency. 51% for Maple Grove, 14 of 27 on the year. The penalty kill, not so impressive. 9 for 53 for the Huskies, only killing 9 of those.
Huskies penalty kill at 78%. Couple of chances right out in front of Altman. Makes the save. He's down in the crease. Rebound back behind the net. Steenerson, big body, 6'4", 200 pounds, and it'll be cleared here by Andover. Andover has given up 9 power play goals here this season. They've scored 3 shorthanded goals, but last week in that holiday tournament, they were 10 of 11 on the penalty kill. So special teams on both sides, power play and penalty kill, getting better here for Andover as Maple Grove comes in, chips it down here for Finn Brink at a 4-goal game. A few weeks ago against Anoka, a 9-game point streak entering here, but again, Andover picks it up and sends it down.
Huskies not allowing the Crimson to really set up the power play unit, keeping that puck in motion and clearing the zone now twice.
Senior captain Marganeau pushes the puck the other way, but it'll be an offside coming into the Andover zone with 1:01 left to go in the power play, and the penalty on Cooper Conway, the Colorado College commit. 15:39 left in the first, no score.
And the Huskies bring a little juice on this penalty kill as they bring a couple of members of that first line back out there. Thorson along with Casey out there. Thorson with a couple of shorthanded goals already.
Yeah, you put those guys out there on the penalty kill and gives them an opportunity to maybe score a shorthanded goal. He had a ton of shorthanded goals last year and had 2 shorthanded goals last week in those 3 games. Maple Grove through neutral, dumped in. Stelgis here to the near side. Andover tried to clear, but it's held in. Picanato on the near side point. Back to the far side wall. Giuliani, whose brother Josh had the big game last year in the state championship for Maple Grove with the hat trick and an assist, 4 points. Here's a steal and a shorthanded chance. Point blank opportunity for Thorson, and a flex out of play off the goaltender Roach.
Well, when you have the speed of Thorson and his activity, that creates some scoring attempts even on the penalty kill. And here's a shorty that quickly emerged.
Well, we talked about you put your top guys out there, even on the penalty kill, they can create.
Thorson with 57 goals in his career, 151 points.
Ben Dahl taking the draw this time for Andover. It's won by Maple Grove. They bring it into the zone, dumped in by Marganeau. 15 seconds left in the Maple Grove power play, and it'll be backhanded down the ice by Anthony Pardo. Back to get it, Marganeau. 5 seconds left in the power play. Chance for a one more rush here, but he lost and coughed it up for Crosby Perry, who then dumps it in, heads to the bench. Meanwhile, out of the penalty box is Conway, and we're back to 5-on-5. No score, 14:30 left first period. Nice move by Brink. Finn Brink brings it in right side. Tried to leave it over to Kernan, who sends it in from the right side from the wall. And it's in on Bo Altman, the Andover goaltender, and the transfer from Buffalo. Both teams with new #1 goaltenders. In fact, the top 3 goaltenders for the Huskies, Altman, Conway, and Reinhardt, did not play any varsity hockey for Andover last year. Mentioned Altman, the transfer from Buffalo. 5-2-1 on the season, 2.69 goals against, .916 save percentage.
Well, shift out in lines. The #2 line out there for Bush, Ellingson, and Sinclair going for the Crimson against the #1 line. Unless they did switch out as well.
Yeah, Rocco Gorowski's line is out there. And if that name is familiar, Rocco Gorowski, his uncle was Tom, who played on that Centennial team that won the 2004 championship. And his cousin was Reiner, who played for Centennial. Meanwhile, back to it in his own zone is Brooks Cogswell, who was a winger last year, was a winger for the state tournament team for Andover, now playing at D. And depending on the injury situation with Stringfellow, he could be back up at the forward line later on this season. That ball, the puck was short hop there by Altman, flipped up ahead to the red line for Maple Grove. Crimson setting up there. Beck Picanato, third set of D. His pass ahead, deflected away Yelly. And then it ends up back to Picanato, who goes rink wide to the far side. Grant Leno at a goal against Wayzata. This Maple Grove team lost earlier in the year to Wayzata and then turned around and beat them, the #1 team, last week. As here's a turnover. Maple Grove getting in tight. Ellingson, who's just back from an injury, had it in the slot, lost it. He gets it back and then gives it up. Back up and around. They'll go D to D here to the near side. Picanato, a shot block, gets it back. Another one that just bounces wide after the rebound. Giuliani at the doorstep. He tries to jam it in. Ends up behind the net to the near corner. Good action, good pace here. Maple Grove has had a power play here in the opening minutes of this one, as Andover will saucer it down. That'll be an easy icing call here for the linesman. We'll get a face-off back in the Andover zone.
Pitchfork out of the zone and through the neutral zone that time by Macklin Yell. He's a new addition as well for the Huskies this season. They've been working him into the second and third line, trying to get that scoring punch. The second line tonight is combined for 10 goals. The third line for 3 goals. Keep in mind for Andover, that top line, 27 goals.
A guy that has really emerged is KJ Sauer. His line is out there, just a freshman. Sister Nora is a star on the girls hockey team. KJ had 2 goals in the Benilde St. Margaret's win. And of course, he comes from a pretty good family, well-known NHL, and he had an uncle that played in the NFL. Quick shot. That was blocked by traffic all the way through. Owen Smith, who's listed as their 7th defenseman, off of traffic back to the near corner. Maple Grove has had the lion's share of offensive zone time. Now a block, and Sauer trying to get to it. Gavin Anderson beats him there. Head coach Todd Berglund mentions that their defense is probably their strongest asset. Defense and goaltending, not a bad way to build a champion, of course. As the Crimson come back up through center, right to left, Bush. Stick handling across the top of the slot, circles around on the right wing, gives it up here to the near side. That's Owen Smith, sneaks in, save off the stick of Altman up in the air, bounces it back out to Smith, and the near side linesman is going to whistle it down, bring it back the other way. I didn't see if that was a hand pass here in the offensive zone for Maple Grove or not. We were high stick, but it's going to go all the way back.
Well, you mentioned Crimson have the 2 losses. 2 losses you mentioned earlier. First one came to Wayzata. They were able to avenge that loss with a recent 4-3 win. Meanwhile, the second loss came to Stillwater. But now currently 7 wins in a row for the Crimson.
Both teams went 3-0 in their holiday tournaments. Maple Grove hosted their first ever Premier Hockey Classic in the Grove. Out to Law. Here's his shot. Glove side of Roach. Shots right now 4-1 Maple Grove as we've just hit the 5-minute mark. Puck out of play here. Deflected. And it'll stay in the Maple Grove zone. You mentioned the Maple Grove 7-game winning streak, and Andover winning 3 in a row. Benilde, Hill Murray, and Rosemont. They were at the St. Louis Park Rec Tournament. St. Louis Park, a tradition in the park as it's called. And that's a tournament that Maple Grove used to participate in before they put their own tournament together. As another one out of play. Short glass along that far side on the bench side, so a lot of pucks go out of play on that far side. Another face-off far wing.
And you can see it's not only standing room only behind the glass and behind the goaltending, but also up here as the game has started. It's standing room only wherever you can get a view.
Caden Casey taking the draw for Andover. He's been battling injuries. They shut him down for 10 days, and that seem to have gotten him going again. He's headed to St. Lawrence. He had 3 goals and 8 points in last week's games in their holiday tournament. Andover dumps it in, tracking it down back on the far side. Maple Grove will get it there with Margano. Great puck moving defenseman taking over for Danny Nelson, who went to the National Team Development Program, who was just a sophomore last year but decided to head to Michigan and play for the Team USA there. They play their games in the USHL. Bouncing puck, not yet out. Dancing is Steenerson. He's strong. Gets a shot saved by Altman. And the rebound goes wide to the far side. Watch Blake Steenerson tonight. He's big and strong.
And he can do some stick work.
He's got a 3-game goal streak. 4 goals in his last 3. Almost connected there. Under 11 left to go in the first period here with Thorson through center. Gavin, the future St. Cloud State Husky, got knocked down. Continues to work, and then he knocks Giuliani down. Ends up a turnover here for Maple Grove. They'll dump it in as they cross the red line.
Both those players have some engines unbelievable in terms of tempo.
Cogswell helps it up along the far side. Down that far side is Gavin Sullivan with a goal last week against Rosemont. In low. Yell was there. Picked up by the Crimson. They come out to center. Dump and chase here has been kind of the primary offensive attack here for both teams. Get that puck in deep, and then forecheck. Shot from the near side point. Picanato, another save by Altman. Shots are 5-1 Maple Grove. Yell down the near wing. Enters the zone. Lost the handle a bit, then he got hit hard. Knocked down. Big check by Patefield. They both get up, and it's cleared by the Crimson.
Well, you're also seeing some offensive pressure. One missing from this year for the Crimson is Landon Gunderson.
Yeah, he went back to juniors.
He had a very productive state tournament run and postseason play as well.
Some of the passes he had in that state tournament against Andover last March, just unbelievable.
Exactly.
And the puck was on his stick, but he was injured. He played with the Madison Capitals in the USHL, as there's a shot that sails high from Sauer. Still in the Maple Grove zone. Now they'll push it back the other way. So he got hurt with the Madison Capitals, came back, as here's a long pass for Dahl, tries to take the carom off the wall against Smith. Ends in deep. Smith will knock him down. Dahl gets right back up, the junior right winger. But Maple Grove with numbers here on the near side will push it right back out. Up ahead, right to left into the zone. Ellingson gets knocked down. Belisle comes in. Good back check there. Cleared out by the Huskies.
Ellingson ready to pull the trigger on a shot, lifted from behind and sent to the ice. But here comes the Crimson again on another rush.
You're going to see that puck on Margano's stick a lot here tonight. Sauer forces that puck into the Crimson zone. Thorson ends up with it at center as his pass intercepted by Finn Brink. 7 assists in his last 3 games, and they give it up. Backhand shot, and somehow that one didn't go in. What a great opportunity there for Conway, and we're going to get interference on Maple Grove. And a power play for Andover on their first one, but Huskies very opportunistic there and almost made it 1-0, but they'll get a power play out of it.
Well, they really pressured Finn Brink, who's put up 97 total points for the Crimson over his career. He also got the penalty as he gave it up, put up on the stick. Conway there, who tried to stuff that backhand.
I want to see that replay again. Did Roach make the save, or did it just go under his arm and then wide of the far post?
I think it went wide of the post.
Wow, was that close? What a great chance. Now an opportunity here for the Huskies. Their power play, 19.2%. It was just 11.4% going into last weekend's holiday tournament. And they went 6 of 17, 35.3% in those 3 games last week. So they are in a situation here where their power play is performing better, and certainly that is a key, as a goaltender Altman will cover it up here with the blocker side. We'll get a face-off in the Husky zone.
Here's
Take a look at that chance again.
You bet. Here comes Conway in and backhanded it, and
yeah.
there it was, right under the glove, tucked under the armpit, and just wide of the mark. But Crimson right now flying on the penalty kill.
On the season, Huskies 10 of 52 on the power play. The penalty kill for Maple Grove, 90%. They've only given up 3 power play goals all season long. They have 1 shorthanded goal as well. As Dahl chips it in, there's the chase to the far side. Race for the puck. Grant Leno will get to it first here on the Maple Grove penalty kill. Up but not out. Out to the point. Shot from that left side. Casey manning that left point. And now cleared by Maple Grove, and the Huskies will have to go back and reset.
Yeah, Casey's held his own a couple of times on the power play, but the last couple just beyond his reach, but good hands. Boy, that helps at that point.
Caden Casey, 147 career points. Left side towards the net, Tristan May Robinson. It ends up to the point. Casey shot. Block, kick back up to Caden Casey. Holds in with a glove. Thorson near side with a wing. And a wrist shot is blocked. Thrown back at him by Picconato. Casey has it again. Here's his shot. That finds it all the way through to Roach. Makes the save again to Thorson, to Casey. Down to the left side. May Robinson scramble out in front of Roach. And it's underneath the Maple Grove player. And a little pushing and shoving after the whistle with 36 seconds left in the Andover man advantage.
A little tic-tac-toe combination, and he came. The shot from the dot of the face-off circle by Thorson was secured, deflected, and then staying on top of the puck there. Crimson and the Huskies trying to have a discussion on a delayed game, perhaps, but not to be had, but a good passing combination, tape to tape, and finally pulling the trigger was Thorson making the save.
KJ Sauer off of the draw. The Huskies get it in along the end wall. Final 30 seconds of the power play. Final 7 minutes of the first period. And they're going to whistle this now because one of the Huskies lost his hats. Macklin Yell, and they'll whistle that down immediately when that happens.
Well, they like what they'd seen from Macklin Yell in terms of bringing some scoring punch and some scorability. He's trying to get more into the flow. They had him at that second line as well, and they've been replacing between he and KJ Sauer.
Unfortunate chin strap malfunction there, because that brought the draw outside of the zone.
Yes.
Huskies still win it, go back to their own end. Thorson brings it across, near wing, makes a move to the backhand, out in front with a centering pass for Sauer. And it ends up going wide, and it comes out of the zone, and the Huskies, Thorson brought it back in, and they whistle it offside. Still 4 seconds left of the faceoff outside of the Crimson blue line.
Huskies starting to get a little flow on that power play, their last couple of setups, but that time it eluded the stick of Thorson and got just outside the ink on the blue line. So they'll reset, drop the puck outside the Crimson blue line. 4 seconds left in the man advantage for
last
Andover.
Year's final in that section champion, or that state championship game, 6-5 in double overtime. First time ever that a team had scored 5 goals and lost in a state championship game in the Minnesota State High School Hockey Tournament. Andover got a couple of shots on goal in that power play. Shots are now 5-3. Maple Grove back at full strength. Steenerson from behind his net, and they flip it up ahead with Brink. Shy of the blue line, flip to the far corner. Final 6:10 of the first period. Steenerson, big body. He's fighting off checks, going after the puck here, the near side half wall up to the point. A shot that sails high from Margano. Off the high glass, kept in. Owen Smith, who's listed as their 7th defenseman, but he plays regular minutes. Near side Brink, bumped on his left wing drive. Back behind the net. Cogswell pushes it back the other way. His pass was a little too far for Babineau. No icing, didn't have enough on it, and Owen Smith will start from his zone here for the Crimson. Headman Brink. Brink in the middle, right onto the stick of Margano. Down the slot, shot, got the puck back. He had on a string, and then he gets bumped off the puck here in the near corner. Law with it along the end wall, having to deal with Finn Brink. He'll be a future Wisconsin Badger D1 commit. Maple Grove, good forecheck. They hold it in. Short side shot ends up wide from Luke Giuliani and into the far corner. Low shots on goal total here in this first period, 6-3. And Coach Mark Manny, they've been giving up more shots on goal than they have the last few years, averaging like 30 shots on goal given up per game. And he just thinks that's too many. They got to get that to the low 20s. Loose puck out in front, kicked around off a couple of boots, played up off the near wall. Babineau sends it down. Sawyer after it. Not enough for icing. Sawyer goes in along with Connor Stelchis, and it ends up onto the stick of Owen Smith. Banks it ahead, but stolen away. Thorson has it, walks 1-on-3. Andover on a change here, and Thorson's all by himself. Andover only has 4 skaters out there. Finally, now they got 5. As Thorson working it all the way around. How many times around the zone has he gone? Was that his 3rd lap?
Yeah, it was at least 720. Not a 360, but a 720.
Casey, high slot with a wrist shot. Got blocked, got it back. Came back to him. Big block by the forward, Giuliani. Back to the far side, the point, Pardo. Pardo to the net. Knocked down Roach. Defenseman clears it up and out. Back at center. Andover's had more offensive zone time now since their power play. First half of this period was all Maple Grove primarily with the offensive zone time as they grab it. Kernan comes in, walks right out in front, tried to go 5-hole, and Ottman makes the save, and then the rebound trickles through the crease, and it's cleared by Andover. This will be icing, but that was close for Maple Grove, and it stays scoreless.
Well, you mentioned Manny not happy at all, Coach Manny, regarding the number of shots on goal that his goaltending has seen the last few years. But I'm telling you, just this season, many more quality shots than they've had in the past. Probably two players they definitely missed would be Weston Knox and also Law defensively in front and on that blue line for the Huskies. And two quality looks for the Crimson here in the last 90 seconds.
Of course, Austin Bronze was their #1 goaltender last year for the Huskies. 22-5-1, leading them to the state title. And last year for Maple Grove, Toby Hopp was their main guy. Went 17-7-1 and was in the state tournament, of course, and those two guys put on a good show. Even though they gave them combined 11 goals, there were some big saves by both of those goaltenders. And right now, head coach Todd Berglund is going to have a talk with the referee here with this draw in the Andover zone near wing.
And you'd mentioned Martineau before and his burst of speed, and he'll have that puck. Oh, what a beautiful pass the last time by Brink. Put it right on the stick of Martineau, and he burst in to have his shot denied.
And Brink takes the draw, tried to walk in past the Andover centerman. Rink wide pass for Maple Grove's Kernan, who's an assistant captain. Puck rung around on the shelf back behind the net. Crimson trying to hold it in, looking for a cycle here near side. Instead, the Huskies will bounce it. Will this have enough for icing? It is going to roll across that icing line. And Sawyer was on pursuit. He would have won if he would have won the race, but this is not hybrid icing here in high school. If it ever comes to that, I don't know if it will. Face-off will come the other way here in the Andover zone.
Well, so far, Altman's been able to hold off those scoring surges. Shots on goal, 9-4. Unofficially here in favor of the Crimson, but they have had 3 to 4 solid looks.
Right off of the face-off and whistling in wide, Jay Ellingson. Still looking for his first point. He's missed a bunch of the season here due to injury, just returning now. Thorson across the line, goes deep to Casey, and he's stopped by Roach down on the doorstep. And then Casey goes in on the check. It ends up back out to center off the stick of Jacob Sinclair at a goal in their win against St. Michael Albertville. Backhanded in by the Huskies. Behind their own net, Grant Leno. Senior defenseman is in their third defensive pair. Backhanded out Picconato. Back at his own blue line. Here's Cogswell, who was a forward last year, so he brings offensive skill and talent to that blue line. Dumps in. He goes over on the change, and Belial ends up at center here for Andover. And then he gets planted by Ellingson, still able to dump it in.
Well, you're right about Cogswell, because it's good to have that ability and that speed on defense, and he's been welcomed there at the blue line.
Lucas Bush, who has 8 goals on his career, 5 on the season here. After it here in his own zone. Joey Imgrud, who had one of the goals against YZ, and that big win for them. Puck comes out in front, wrestling Thorson involved here, and these teams are developing quite a rivalry. They have played 3 times in each of the last 3 years. Last year, Andover went 2-1-0. The year before that, Maple Grove won all 3, and the year before that, Andover won all 3. And they've played each of the last 3 years in the state tournament. Of course, last year in the ultimate game in the championship.
Yeah, they've also been ending each other's seasons the last couple of years. Last year in the state championship, the year before that in the consolation. But an ironic fact we'll talk about at second period on the route to the state tournament last year for these teams.
Yeah, Andover out of Section 7, Maple Grove out of Section 5. Another one dumped in here by Andover. Section 7, Duluth East is starting to surge. Grand Rapids, of course, will be there as well in the end. Andover considered a contender, certainly, of course, as the defending champion several years in a row. Maple Grove out of Section 5. They bring it in across the line. Far side, Patefield with a shot. Blocked, ended up in the corner. Up and out by May Robinson. Nope, it got stuck in some snow. Now it is pulled out. And it'll be sent in by May Robinson. He just has May on the back of his. The line chart has May Robinson. He only has May. He kept it short on the back of his jersey. That was nice of him there.
We really appreciate that.
Here's a centering pass, scrambling save, and covering it up is Bo Altman. 1:25 left in what has been an entertaining first period, Joe.
It has. It's also good to see the name May, something spring-like on the back of a hockey jersey,
After,
or June, or July, or August. But
after 14.9 inches of snow, right?
Absolutely. Another example, hey, of that pressure, the backhand, and of course not seeing Stringfellow tonight is a loss also for the Huskies.
Yeah, with an upper body injury. Coach Manny said he could be back soon. Steenerson's got an NHL shot, according to Coach Todd Berglund, and you can see that one there, that wrister from the low side. Ends up coming back out to the Maple Grove zone. They reset. Leno sent in. Maple Grove has not been whistled for an icing yet here tonight, as Altman stops it behind the net. Played up by Pardo. Pardo at center off a skate. 1 minute left to go in the first period. Brink had it, lost it, gets it back. 11 goals on the season. Shot right side, outer half of the circle. Saved by Altman. Rebound. Long saucer pass ahead. Thorson a little bit behind him. Able to play the carom off the wall. Gets it to Case. He wanted to go back to Thorson. That's the one thing about that top line. They've got swagger and they've got chemistry. After playing all of last year together in the state tournament, they know where each other is.
They can get the flow on pretty quickly and connect and tape to tape, generating some strong momentum. Most definitely. 27 goals this year, that line for the Huskies of Conway, Casey, and Thorson have combined for the season. And again, it's 28 goals is what that first line for the Crimson have combined, and Brink, Kernan, and Steenerson.
It was offside on Andover. Huskies win the faceoff. Dumped in off the pad of Roach. Final 18 seconds of the period. Shots 10-6 Crimson. Onto the stick of Jacob Sinclair. Senior depth guy. He goes down. Penalty coming up. It'll be a tripping call here on the Huskies.
That'll go to Sauer.
With 5.4 seconds left in the period. So most of this will carry over to the new ice sheet in the second period. It'll be the second power play of the game for Maple Grove. Both teams 0 for 1 on the man advantage. You see it right there. Stick where it shouldn't be.
Sauer crushed on that trip in terms of emotion. He's back in the box, but the good news is it'll be disrupted a bit here for Maple Grove.
Yeah, and the Huskies chip it down the ice off of the face-off. Final seconds tick off, and that's the end of our first period. Joe, your thoughts on the first period here as we wrap up period one?
I love the speed of the game. You had mentioned no icing calls on Crimson, a few on Andover, but otherwise good flow, good activity, and I think they're sizing each other up for an explosive second period.
Great rivalry matchup here tonight on QCTV Sports. Don't go anywhere. No score through one here from Andover. And this is high school hockey from QCTV Sports.
Andover, Minnesota. 34.84 square miles and 33,000 strong. Home of the Huskies. Residing in the state where hockey is king, with a new battle for the crown each winter. 16 teams, 14 games, one ultimate dream. But in the end, only two teams reign victorious in the state of hockey.
Out in the corner. Andover has won the state title.
Which makes Andover the city of champions.
Takes the lead pass. They come in across Zinda. Shot. Rebound. Your champion.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Every day.
Millions of people are connecting.
And even though we're overcoming obstacles,
watching each other's backs,
and banding together,
we should still make an effort.
We should still make an effort
to get to know each other
on a deeper level. Father,
cosplayer,
mentor,
actor.
It's time we take a step forward.
It's time we take a step forward.
Come together
and discover
how accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
Welcome to Tot Time. Hi, my name is Cindy Ramsier, and I'm the program coordinator at the Andover Community Center. Today, you're here at the Community Center during Tot Time Open Gym. It's an indoor playtime for youth ages 6 and under and their caregivers. We meet most Mondays and Thursdays from 9:30 to 11:30 in Court 4 at the Andover Community Center. Admission is $5 per child.
Yes, definitely hot. How about a beach? Today we're out here for Tot Time. We've teamed up with the Community Center. We created a program called Sparky's Sirens and Safety. It gives us the chance to come out here, talk to the younger kids who aren't in school yet. They become familiar with us. We change it up every month. We have some games that we bring. This one is hot or not, so they have to match things. Little cutouts that we made just to get some fire safety messages. We brought some cutouts and stuff for photos, some little giveaways for them. They can kind of explore. When they're comfortable, they kind of approach us and see if they want to partake. But it's important for us to be out here so they can start getting familiar with us. At this age, they're kind of intimidated by us, and it's a little bit scary for them. So.
The Andover Community Center first started offering Tot Time in 2006. To date, we've received over 25,000 visits from young children coming to play indoors at Tot Time Open Gym. This is our 16th year offering the program. Join us at the Andover YMCA Community Center. For more information about Tot Time, visit our website at www.andovermn.gov and click on the word Community Center and go to the Tot Time page.
their story and goals with their new business venture.
When we opened Ombi Wine Bar, we wanted to create a one-of-a-kind, just unique experience that really focused on the ambiance. You know, over the last year and a half, we welcomed the birth of our daughter, Isabel, last summer 2021, and with her birth we wanted to continue to extend what we were doing with Ombi, but focus on new moments, more moments that were centered around family, places that we could take our daughter. And with that came the creation of Mrs. Ice Cream and Soda Pop Shop.
We'd like to think that we offer a different type of experience here. We like to incentivize people staying and enjoying the ambiance. So one of the questions that we'll ask you when you come in to order is if you would like it for here or to go. And if you say for here, we'll put it in a lovely glass dish or cup for you. And it really just kind of helps with the whole experience, tying it all together. It's part of great moments. So if you are having a glass like this, you're gonna feel that you can stay a little bit longer. You know, we're designing the dining floor for that experience. You know, just really slow down, take your time. We don't want anybody to feel rushed, and having a stay glass item is part of that, as opposed to just a paper cup that typically people are used to getting in other ice cream shops.
As soon as you walk into Mrs. for the first time, you'll see just how inviting it is to stay, enjoy the moment, and the 1950s atmosphere.
With this space, we've been looking to really focus on the experience. As you can see behind me, we've got an old retro dining car where it feels more like you know, your classic 1950s diner. And in that space, we're looking to host events, and so we'll be adding events to our event calendar now that we've passed our grand opening. And within that, you know, we'll be exploring things like movies for large groups, potentially reserving the space for larger groups, and you know, allowing people to entertain groups as they see best fit.
But of course, the main attraction is the ice cream and soda. And much like Ombi Wine Bar, the options are plentiful with different combinations of ice cream, cookies, and soda to enjoy together. It would be hard not to try something different each time you visit.
So right now on the line we have 12 options of premium hard scooped ice cream, and then we also offer 4 options of gelato, which is Italian ice cream. We're excited to see the trends that are coming in for what people are ordering. We had a lot of milkshakes be ordered, so that gives us incentive to maybe make those a little bit more specialty and fun. I'm personally really excited about our cookie sandwich line that we have. We have a fantastic one that is really surprising to people. It's a lemon cooler cookie with a blueberry cheesecake ice cream, and so it's just different. It goes outside of that classic, you know, cookie, chocolate chip cookie dough with just vanilla ice cream. So kind of, you know, pushing those boundaries of all the possibilities, but yet we can still leave the imagination for them to create their own too.
What we try to do is have about, you know, 12 to 15 or so ice cream and soda pops both on the list, and the thought is to make it fun, playful, and drive discovery, just like with the wine bar, just like with Ombi Wine Bar. We're always trying to help people find their next favorite.
Hi. Can I get the now bar, please?
No problem. $1.
Have a good one.
Got it.
Hi, can I get a now bar, please? Uh-huh.
$1.
Thanks.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey.
Hey, let me get a now bar.
Sure. $1.
Appreciate you.
You got it.
How's it going? Can I get a now bar?
Hey, stop right there! Get down on the ground out of your car right there! Move over your head! Now!
There's your score through one period. Andover Community Center. Joe Rulin, Jim Erickson here. Good first period between these two clubs. Championship teams from a year ago. And nothing on the board. We do have a minute 55 of a power play for Maple Grove. Both teams are 0 for 1 on the power play in that first period. Shots on goal in the first period, 10-7, Joe. What do you expect to see here in the second? Grove almost a full power play to start and a clean sheet.
Got to start punching through. They can't continue, at least Altman, to keep stopping the quality shots he's looking at, and that cannot remain if you're the Huskies. Huskies, meanwhile, got to find a way to play more of an offensive push and play downhill than they had in that first period. But we talk a lot about these teams and these two teams meeting and how they managed to elevate the game and elevate the play. But as you take a look at last year's map out in their path, the ironic thing about these two teams, and Jim, you called the game of Lou Nanny in one of the greatest games, I think the greatest game ever. And you get a look here at the score breakdown, the 3-2 after the first.
Scores on the deflection. The Andover Huskies win their first Class 2A state championship.
You guys are going bonkers.
That was crazy. It might have been the altitude. We were up kind of high. But again, you saw, again, I went back and forth. Huskies down by a goal. I remember Pearson getting that big goal for the Huskies near the end of that first period. That kind of ignited them. They tied it. Of course, you saw Thorson with a goal and 2 assists. Casey with 2 goals and assists. Of course, Knox had a goal and an assist. A nice dime to set up that game winner as well to Graving, who put away a goal. He also had a goal in that previous game as well, but both these teams went at it. The ironic thing, Jim, is that both of these teams ended their regular season last year with a loss. The Huskies lost 4-1 here at Andover to Maple Grove. Meanwhile, Maple Grove played one more game, and they took a loss to Hill Murray just before the state tournament, and all 3 of those teams ended up meeting in the state tourney last year. Just the commitment and how they seem like they get better after a loss, and that's what you see from good teams. But you also see these teams really work each other hard. And boy, from that, as a result, you see some fabulous fast play, and that's what we saw in the first period.
Maple Grove this season opened up against Edina, picked up a 2-0 win. Lost to Wayzata 5-1. That one kind of got into their craw and under their skin a little bit. So then the next game after that, they put 15 on the board against Anoka. Lost to Stillwater 4-3 on Saturday, December 3rd, and they haven't lost since, including a return engagement against Wayzata in the final game of their home tournament at the Maple Grove Community Center. Meanwhile, Andover, as head coach Mark Manny told me, it's been a seesaw, up and down affair. They were 4-4-1. They were 500 entering the St. Louis Park tournament, and ended up with those wins against Benilde St. Margaret's, Hill Murray, and Rosemont, although they were down 2-0 to Benilde in the first minute and a half of that one. We're underway, opening seconds of the second period. Again, a power play for Maple Grove, their second of the game on the season, 14 of 26, 51.9%, in a scoreless beginning of the second period.
As you mentioned, Jim, the last 3 games, Andover, hey, it's not that that's the stellar piece, but you kind of get a rhythm and a feel as effective as they've been on the penalty kill and the power play the last 3 games. It kind of gives you that mental recipe and formula, which is what they've needed.
Thorson shorthanded. He's dangerous. He comes in 1-on-3, decides to just carry it back out to neutral, all the way back to his own zone. Good heady play, and now he'll flip it all the way down as we approach a minute left to go in the Maple Grove power play. Dahl's the first one to it. Good hustle, but he's outnumbered, and Brink picks it up and leaves it back behind the net. He'll hold it there. One of the team captains, he and Margano, sharing those duties here for Maple Grove. Now it's Steenerson, glides across, long reach at 6'4", behind the net. Thought about a wraparound. He was denied there nicely by Cogswell, and they'll set up at the point. For Brink, back up Margano to the near side. Bush passing here for Maple Grove. They're working it around on the perimeter. Good box set up in the penalty kill here for Andover, and they'll work it again with Brink up and down that far wall. Here's his shot, and the rebound just sent wide by Kernan. And the rebound back here to the Crimson. Bush, Kernan, Bush, up high. Big blast, Margano hits traffic out in front in the corner. Final 15 seconds left in the Maple Grove power play. Brink Tip back out. Margano at the point. Glides to the middle. Gives it up to Brink again. Outside that far circle. Glides in the circle. Wrist shot. Up and out of play. 2 seconds left in the Maple Grove man advantage.
Well, Steenerson really didn't leave that space a whole lot. Just maybe 10 feet out in front of the goal. Kept circling. They kept the box around him, did the Huskies, but he just kept circling in that area once he distributed the pass to get the power play started. But you can see he's a big fella, also with that big shot as well for Steenerson.
Ellingson to take the draw against Crosby Perry. And it ends up back deep for Drew Law. Out of the box is Sauer. And the Huskies back at full strength. They're 2 for 2 in the penalty kill. Special teams are going to be key tonight. And so far the penalty kills have been perfect. As we have 14:50 left to go, we passed the 2-minute mark of period 1. Shots 11-7. The puck came out in front. Stick handling with that puck was Ellingson. And the net knocked loose. So whistle and a stoppage here in the Andover zone.
That was Macklin Yell who was able to disrupt the scoring opportunity there. If Ellingson was able to settle that puck, but Yell coming across, lifting it off his stick, and then shortly thereafter, a reset of the net. So successful penalty kill, 2 for 2 for the Huskies. We start early here in the second period, but I'd like to see the Huskies start playing a little bit more downhill.
I think one thing that really sticks out about the freshman center here, KJ Sauer, about to take this draw, is his size. He's a freshman, 6'3", 175. Of course, he had an Uncle Craig who played for the Vikings and the Falcons in the NFL, out of Sartell and the University of Minnesota. He's got some of his family size, no doubt about that, but it's Maple Grove winning the draw. Bush working up to the line. It is still in. Bush somehow kept it in, even though May almost knocked it out. Now it's controlled the other way. Grabbed by the Huskies. This is Yell. Tries to shoot it through a couple of defenders, couple of screens, off a skate, back out to neutral. Ellingson looking to center. Gives it up to Bush. Here's his shot. Rebound off the block. Perry behind his net for Andover.
Early on, they've been trying to just really disrupt and deflect any shots in front. Have the Huskies. Now here come the Huskies.
Sauer has it. Sauer, Perry, and a saucer pass up over his stick and cleared by the Crimson all the way down. But before that, we'll get a whistle. Net knocked loose again before the clear, and the faceoff will remain in the Crimson zone, which is a break here for the Andover Huskies.
Well, you know, Mark Manning had mentioned about the emergence of Sauer this year and how much better he's been playing in the last few weeks, and there was a chance, just missing connect on the saucer pass.
Top line here for Andover, all Division I commits. Long pass, Steenerson trying to track it down. He's all by himself. Save made by Altman. He kicked that rebound up the slot, but Andover there to clear it out of danger, but not yet out of the zone.
Brink was there coming down that far wing to tap it in, and good job of redirecting.
Conway keeps it in, tips it in deep. Now Caden Casey from behind his net. Where's the C here for the Huskies? Bounces it up through center. Good stick work there. Margano with good hand, settles it down. Puck is on its side as it bounces into the Andover zone. Centering pass by Maple Grove. Steenerson, that long reach at 6'4", able to track it down before it leaves the zone. Dumps it deep for Brink. Then it's Kernan past him. Steenerson gets to it, sends it right back in along the end wall. As we've reached the 4-minute mark of the first period, penalty coming up on Maple Grove. It'll be a trip behind the play, and this will be a power play for Andover. It'll be their second power play.
Well, it probably gives the Huskies a chance to get that big body off the ice for the Crimson. Boy, he is so dominant. Sustains possession of that puck. That wingspan as well, but that time the wingspan probably cost him on the trip.
Stick got tangled up. And Andover will get their second power play on the season, 19.2%. Huskies average 3.9 goals per game offensively. Meanwhile, Maple Grove scoring over 5.5 per game. But so far, this has been a tight game, defensive game. Not a lot of shots on goal, just 20 shots combined. The goaltenders have come up big, as have the penalty kills. And we'll see what Maple Grove's penalty kill can do here against Andover.
I'd say we nailed it on the pregame keys of the point. Solid goaltending.
That's all you. That's all you. Color commentator is where those keys of the game come. Working it across the zone here for Tristan May. Bouncing up to the point, out of the reach of Casey. He'll have to go back and reset. Casey's been battling injuries, getting close to 100% according to Coach Manny. Thorson looping back in his own zone.
They had missed for 2-3 straight games. Their top two centers, the Huskies, with injuries.
May, cross ice, Thorson. Thorson, drop pass then for Conway. He wanted to leave it for somebody, nobody home. Tipped out of the zone and pulled the other way by Imgren. Thorson comes back across onside from that far wing. Cross ice pass, trying to find anybody. Intercepted and all the way down by Imgren.
Huskies haven't been able to really set up the power play here in their first couple of runs, but here comes Casey.
Casey across the line, tried to chip it in deep. Margano just too savvy there, able to pin it up against the wall, clear it out, and the Huskies go back to reset. Belisle from his own zone, forced wide nicely in the neutral zone by the Maple Grove penalty kill. 50 seconds left in the Andover power play in the scoreless rematch of last year's title game. Intercepted out in front, Crimson clear it.
That was a beautiful defensive play that time by the Crimson in Margano. Got the stick down, made the block and score. That was Kernan who made that play and able to dump it length of the ice.
Cogswell starts it the other way, finds Yell down the far wing, back to Cogswell. A rising wrister that I think hit his own guy. Law, maybe some friendly fire, flipped ahead. Kernan comes in short-handed, tried to go wide side, and fought off by Altman, and the carry him back all the way out to neutral. And there's Margano to bank it all the way down. 10 seconds left to go. Maybe chance for one more power play rush the other way if Cogswell can get set from behind his net. Looks right, passes to the near side. Belisle offside. Sauer was in early just as the Crimson came back to full strength. Face-off will come outside the blue line.
Well, maybe able to get one shot on the Huskies on that power play, but right now it's the Crimson so quick. And when you got a defenseman in front, that Margano who's playing so well, and the whole team, they're there to close any gaps on any shooting lanes.
Junior Rocco Gorowski getting the face-off win there for Andover. Dumped in by the Huskies from neutral. Pushed out, Imgren intercepted Andover, right back in deep. Smith from behind his net gets a bump. Still controlled by Imgren. Long rink wide to his line mate Giuliani. His brother Josh is playing with the Austin Bruins in the North American League. Hasn't committed to a college yet. Hoping, of course, by playing in the North American Hockey League that he'll get an offer, get a team to maybe hook up with.
He had a run in that state tournament last year as we get an ice.
Had the hat trick. He and Landon Gunderson were a dynamic duo in that state championship game, the 6-5 double overtime game, a game that you relive just before the start of the second period. As you see, there is Luke Giuliani, his younger brother, Josh's younger brother. He steps across the board.
Giuliani in that state tournament last year ended up with a total of 7 goals over the course of those 3 games.
Casey on the draw against Kernan, and it's right on the netminder, Bo Altman, who will make the save. Altman, a senior. His backup is Cal Conway. That's Cooper's younger brother. And Otto Reinhardt played a minute and a half in that Benilde St. Margaret's game. So they've had 3 goalies here for Andover that have seen time. Last year was Bronze and Owen Peterson, the top 2 guys. Peterson had a 3-0 record as the backup to Austin Bronze, who won the state title. Steenerson with a steal. Throws it rink wide. Andover finds it first. Back onto the stick of Brink. Brink now lost it. Conway, in front of his own bench. He's centered. Steenerson, good easy stick there with the soft hands. Flips it up ahead to Kernan. Kernan then back to Brink. Brink with a backhand shot and ends up in the glove of Altman.
You talked about Altman coming in with a mark of 5-2-1, goals against of 2.69. You mentioned about Cal Conway. Well, he picked up the shutout versus Rosemount last week, 6-0. Shutouts that turned away 19 of 19 shots. His goals against average this year is 2.25. So good to have some depth between the pipes.
Ellingson against Sauer, the two lines here for both teams. Shot right on the money off the face-off win by Bush. Save made by Altman. Puck up into the air, and we are going to get a hook. This is going to be on Andover. So it's been interesting how the penalties have been one after the other, left, right, left, right. It's like Army golf, left, right, left, right. It's kind of been that because this is now the third penalty against Andover. Both teams have had 2 power play chances. Both teams 0 for 2 as Maple Grove goes on to their 3rd power play of the game.
Yeah, almost complimentary penalties. And just exchanging it. So it's a chance here now, a 3rd attempt on that man advantage for a Crimson team that came in with a power play proficiency of 51% on the season.
Brink with a 9-game point streak on the line here tonight, taking that draw, pulling it back for Bush. Bush for Kernan. Bush and Kernan playing catch in the near corner.
Kernan leads the team with 5 power play goals for the Crimson.
Back to Brink. Here's his wrist shot. Save Altman. Ends up behind the net, rung around but not out. Bush to it first. He's going to get bumped by Thorson. Puck comes free. Another solid check going down for the Huskies was Pardo. Up to the point and held in. Pardo got back up off that check, feeds it over to Belisle, tried to clear, knocked down, comes up to the point, waiting for it, Thorson. He comes the other way, 1-on-2 with the defender, Trailer. He tries to dance around Marganeau. Good, solid defensive hockey, then he falls down. Back to Thorson, tries to walk it to the doorstep, out in front. And onto the stick of Patefield, or check that Marganeau, and then the net knocked loose. All heck breaking loose in the Maple Grove zone. The faceoff will be in that Crimson end.
Probably the best scoring opportunity for the game here for the Huskies, coming shorthanded. And in front was Casey, hoping he might get a pass from Thorson. Thorson came on the scene, finally settled the puck and tried to jam it between the pad and the post. But it was not going to be had by Roach.
We've got scouts in the building. We've got Brian from Ramsey here, scouts for the Bruins. I see Mike McGraw, the hockey professor from our state hockey coverage. He's here in a slick hat. Meanwhile, there's a shot by Conway, right wing. Shorthanded chance through the crease and back to the corner. 55 seconds left, Maple Grove power play. We're still scoreless. Nice long rink wide. Giuliani forced wide and a shot wide into the corner. Both defenses, both penalty kills have been forcing the other teams wide. Shot left side, fought off the glove of Altman, up into the air and down the ice by the Huskies.
But overall, I love the speed of this game that these two teams are representing.
Maple Grove trying to get started and set up as Conway, solid check in on Stelgis. Stelgis took exception to that. Back the other way across the line is Patefield. Ends up low here. Second power play unit. Tried to play it off the back of the goalie, and scrambling there is Altman. He finds it and steers it in and then covers it up here for Bo Altman. And you know, when it comes to penalty killing, who's your best penalty killer?
Yeah, goalie.
Your goalies, and Altman does a nice job there.
Freezes the puck, gives everyone a chance to switch out some units, get some fresh skates out there. And the Huskies, a team that really been struggling on that penalty kill, on the verge of going 3 for 3.
10 of 11 last week, getting it back to near 80%.
You can see the loose puck bouncing around like a ping pong ball behind the net, finally settled.
Steenerson, and right in the breadbasket of Bo Altman. And the save made on that Husky script on those home white uniforms here for Andover. 8 seconds left in that penalty against Tristan May.
Huskies are going to have to start generating a little push on their own. The biggest pressure so far has come from Thorson on the penalty kill.
And off of the draw, swatting it down, Caden Casey. He's done that a couple of times tonight. Instead of pulling the puck back on the face-off draw, forcing it past the other team's safety and the other team's point men all the way down. And Maple Grove, as Andover comes back at full strength, whistled down for icing.
Well, the Huskies, as we mentioned, a tough start to begin the season. They got things going early, and an impressive win also over Moorhead. A loss to Benilde St. Margaret, but they had a chance to avenge it as they were down 2-0.
Steenerson after it here, near side, grabs it, shot, juicy rebound up the pad, save of Altman. It comes back here near side, and a good look from the right wing. Leno, the defenseman, jumped into the play. Stolen back, Kernan keeps it in. One of the better chances that Maple Grove has had tonight right there, started by Steenerson. It's back up to Thorson across the line. Conway fell down so he could stay onside. Up to the point, past May, and the Huskies clear it all the way down. Busted stick in the center circle. So some debris that the teams will have to worry about as the Huskies come back. Pass for Conway from Cogswell misses, and that's icing.
Well, Altman's been putting on a goaltending clinic for the Huskies. He has been able to shut down any of those scoring attempts, which I have counted 5 good quality looks. And Altman has not only made saves, but smothered the puck, minimized the rebound, or redirected to the proper channel. But a good look here, and Crimson to reload here.
Ellingson pulls it back, shot into the corner. Sauer going after it, and it's Cogswell. He got spun around. Ellingson trying to outmaneuver him. Belisle behind his net for the Huskies. Looking it back up the other way. Stick goes flying. Ends up out of the zone. That was Perry. He picks it up, cleared, and icing on Andover.
Some might call that a stick sail, as that thing went sailing
It
high
went
in the
sailing.
air and controlled there. I'd mentioned earlier, Benilde St. Margaret was a team that knocked off the Huskies first of the season with a 3-0 win here today against the Huskies. But then the Huskies went back last week and finished it up. They were down 2-0 to Benilde St. Margaret and came back to score 8 straight goals. And it feels like that's kind of been an identity game for this Husky team.
Right off of the draw, Maple Grove centers it. It's in a pile of skates, in amongst the skates, kicked out and cleared the other way. And Maple Grove will be the first to track it down. Gavin Anderson, headman pass a little bit behind Sinclair. Still cleared. And May from his own zone. Tristan May up ahead. Here's Sauer, kicks the puck to his blade, takes a couple of bumps. He's got a big body, and as a freshman, he's going to learn as he gets older to use that big body. Probably going to put some more muscle on that 6'3" frame as well. Here's the feed ahead for Sinclair, and a shot. He made it into the inner half of the circle from that left wing. Altman kicked it away, and the rebound remains in the Andover zone. And cleared. Perry. Not enough for icing. Back to his own line. Gavin Anderson for the crimson-clad Crimson. Perry comes back on the back pressure to intercept. Flipped ahead to center. Anderson in front of the penalty boxes, and then back in low. Drew Lowell in his own zone. Law feeds it ahead, and a wrestling match ensues here as taking out a Husky was Owen Smith. Andover back at their line. Jarowski kicked around at center, bouncing for Sullivan. Sullivan down the left wing. He got turned around a bit. Gavin Sullivan on that third line. Tried to walk it up the near wing to Belisle. Blocked by traffic. That puck is in the slot. And Maple Grove gets to it first, and they carry it here with Kernan. Check that. That's Giuliani. Giuliani with a shot into the far corner. Players going down. Boy, both teams really battling for every inch of ice here in this second period in a scoreless game.
It is. It's a lot of grit, I'm telling you, between these players, and you're seeing the athleticism as well excel.
And in general, there hasn't been a lot of room and a lot of ice for the offensive teams to maneuver here as it's dumped in. Marganeau will chase it and start from behind his net. 4:20 left to go in a fast-moving second period. Still 0-0. Who will break through? Any shot could be the first goal of the game. Spun around. Now it's ahead to Thorson. Drop pass Conway. Here's his shot. Blocked by Marganeau. Rebound Steenerson. He'll steer it up the other way. Comes in. Doesn't have numbers. Tries to split the D and then tried to tip it. Passed by Altman, and the loose puck as Marganeau was coming down. He couldn't pound it past the goaltender Altman. Great scrambling save there as it's cleared back out by Conway out to neutral. Steenerson again right on the attack. He just keeps coming at you. Steenerson along the end wall. Trying to center it. He got bumped there by Cogswell up to the point. A shot through off the end wall. Rebound Huskies will alleviate some of the pressure here, but the linesman knocked that clearing shot down. Now it's knocked down. Casey, he's got Thorson going to the net, and his pass was defended by Steenerson. Rebound, they score! And Andover breaks through. It's 1-0 on the rush by two of their stars.
Well, Casey tried to share the wealth on an initial pass to Thorson, but finally he stuck it between the pad and the post and just able to beat it. You can see that puck just squirt beyond the blue line, and good looking goal, good effort. The Huskies haven't had and sustained a lot of possession, but their scoring attempts have come on burst opportunities, and that was a burst move there as Casey picked it up on the deflection and gets the deflection off his own pass and stuffs it back just beyond the goal of Roach.
Yeah, Maple Grove did a nice job defending that pass, as here's a shot from the point, off the goaltender, high rebound, they score! Ellingson off of the rebound with a backhand. As that puck was up in the air, it kind of handcuffed the goaltender Altman. Does he come out and play it? Does he allow it to come to him? And as it was bouncing there, just like that, we're tied at 1.
Well, Ellingson was fortunate to be able to settle that puck as much as he could. It was bouncing, and then put a nice backhand. Just got it high enough to get it over the top of Altman. As you mentioned, he was kind of in between land, but I was just going to say before they made that rush up ice, watch, we're going to see some more scoring. Once that first goal happened, these two teams, they can erupt for many goals, and right now Maple Grove has knotted it up on a goal by Ellingson.
That's a big goal for Ellingson. He had missed much of the season, most of the season with the injury. That's his first point, his first goal. And what an answer here. 19 seconds apart, Casey and then Ellingson, and we're tied at 1. This puck hits the ductwork. It's out of play. Face off here in the Andover zone.
And I wouldn't expect anything less. Just from these two teams, the exchanges, the goaltending you've seen, the performance between the posts, and they both quickly counter. The Huskies on a great defensive play to deflect a pass by Casey to score the goal. Meanwhile, countering, as you said, Jim, 19 seconds later on the goal for Ellingson, his first of the season.
5th of the season for Casey, for Andover. With 2.5 left. Huskies in their own end will get going the other way. Caden Casey down the near side wall is Pardo. Dumped in for Thorson into the corner. Back to the near side. Thorson and Anderson after it here just to our left. At a jam-packed Andover Community Center. Up to May. Glove, stop, shot. And off of the blocker, pushed into the corner by Roach. And now the other way, if Maple Grove can get going, they've got a 4-on-3 here at neutral. They'll get a line change thrown on net from neutral from Patefield. Swept away by Altman into the corner. Altman stops it back behind the net for May. May having to deal with Brink from Maple Grove. And up off the glass and out of play. Into the standing room only far side with 1:57 left in the second. And a tie game at 1.
Well, you get a look at an aerial view of that last goal by Ellingson.
Oh, what a pass, too. We didn't see that live. Lucas Bush, a pass between his legs with his back to the net.
Hey,
eyes in the back of his head, Joe.
Love that camera work. Great angle.
Stelgis, best move ever, putting those cameras on the ceiling. They should put us up in the ceiling. That'd be a fun place to call a game. Huh?
Yeah, I just need a catwalk. I think I'd feel more secure.
Here's Sauer down the near side wall. KJ Sauer near corner. Dahl is there, tied up by Margano. He's a tough customer along the wall. Up ahead to Belisle. Steenerson. Belisle wins the battle there and backhands it back in. Final 90 seconds of the second period in a 1-1 game.
Steenerson really reminds me a lot of Tufte.
Cogswell,
Blaine,
Dahl.
that size.
Yes, Riley Tufte from the Blaine Bengals.
Now with the Dallas Stars, that first round pick.
Bouncing puck up to Kernan. They're going to say it was played with a high stick. And the fans don't agree with that. We'll get a whistle stoppage and a face-off coming back out to the neutral zone, I do believe, with 1:11 remaining.
Watched Coach Ellingson, a chance for Berglund, Todd Berglund over there on that last call. I appreciate how he kind of controlled the situations. He saw a couple of players complaining about that offside. He put a hand up and said, I got it. Just let it go. I got it. And it's good to see that type of leadership as, hey, he wants his players focused on the next play. It's been back and forth, but I got to tell you, the size and the speed of this Crimson team is so impressive.
Coming in at 9-2-0. And Andover 7-4-1. Andover 2-1-0 in the conference. Maple Grove 5-0 in conference play. Shot from a bad angle from the corner. Rebound! And they score! Brink has given Maple Grove a 2-1 lead.
Well, Brink lights the light. That's the 29th goal for that line this season for Brink. That'll be another tally there for him. That's his 12th of the season. Picking up the loose change and deposit it into the bank on the backhand. So The first goal of these two scored by that first line.
3 goals in the last 2.5 minutes.
But Steenerson up front really causing some commotion and a loose puck with his play.
Brink's 12th of the season. Came in with 97 points, so he's nearing 100 in his career.
Steenerson will extend his streak with that assist.
Same thing with Brink. 10-game point streak. Steenerson with a point in all of their games, all now 12 games. 12th game of the season here for Maple Grove. Game number 13 for Andover. 22 seconds remaining in the period. So 2 unanswered here for Maple Grove, and they've taken a 2-1 lead. Rapid fire scoring here in the last few minutes. Conway takes a long pass, got tangled up. Stick on stick goes down with Picanato on him, and Maple Grove bounces it rink wide diagonal through center. May to it first, back up to Casey, and they're going to get a whistle here. Player down along the near wall. And we're going to get a penalty. I guess we're going to get, it looks like pairs of penalties, matching penalties, a hold and a rough.
Thorson will get the
That's
gate.
what he said. Let's see who's going to go here. Yeah, matching penalties. Thorson is going to go for Andover.
And Kernan will go.
Kernan going, the centerman off that top line for Maple Grove will go as well. 1 a hold, 1 a rough.
Well, you know what? It took a while, but we've seen an eruption of goals. 3 here in this second period, all within the last 4 minutes of the game. But you knew you were going to get some goals, and once you break that goose egg, you can see the teams pinning the ears back now.
Final seconds here in high school hockey, even with the coincidentals, we still skate 5-on-5, and that's how we will start the third period. After a scoreless first, Crimson get 2 unanswered after the Huskies had taken the lead, and it's a 2-1 here after 2 on QCTV Sports.
In Anoka Hennepin schools, we stay above the line. As high school students, we've got a lot of school spirit.
And when we compete in athletics, that spirit goes through the roof.
Our pride runs deep. And sometimes competitions can get messy. But our friends and competitors all deserve a safe environment.
That's why this season and every season, we're committed to competing with class.
It's not okay to taunt, trash, or throw shade at our opponents.
We don't play that way. As players and as fans, this is the way we play the game.
We build up our teams.
We respect officials.
And we give props to the other team, even if they beat us. We're not alone. Our high school coaches, administrators, and staff are committed to confronting and eliminating bad behaviors.
Because insensitive, offensive, and hateful behavior
has no place in our high school or in our activities.
Everyone has a role to play.
So whether we're at home or away, join our school communities
as we show everyone this is the way we play the game.
Anoka Hennepin fans, whether you cheer for the Huskies, Cardinals, Bengals, Rebels, or Tornadoes, let's stay above the line.
Welcome to our winter edition of At the Half, the show where we take a closer look at some of our area high school sports. I'm your host, Chuck Stens. Andover boys and girls hockey look to capitalize on their outstanding dual state championships last year. In order to continue their success into this season, let's talk with the head coaches from both teams to see what the teams have to bring.
I'm Melissa Volk, and this is my 10th year at Andover. Our expectations are kind of similar every single year to be getting better, as the season goes and be playing our best hockey come February. We're a year older. Last year we were super young with so many freshmen on the team, and now kids are kind of filling some different roles and kind of figuring it out this year. Our captains, Ella Berger, Issa Gettle, Maddie Brown, that top line of ours, and then also Kaylin Mum back at D, Courtney Stegman, our goalie, but then a lot of other players that fill some huge roles for us and give us that depth that we need. Yeah, so every game, we kind of get excited for and another opportunity to play with our teammates and whatnot. But tomorrow we play Minnetonka, so that's a big game. And then we're in the Dyna tournament after Christmas. Yeah, we love our youth girls. We're so lucky to know all of them on such an individual basis. But, the biggest thing that we preach here is just working hard and having a good attitude.
My name's Mark Manny. I'm the head coach of the boys hockey team at Andover High School. Well, last year's team, a lot of our skill up front was underclassmen. And when you have underclassmen leading your team on offense, they don't feel the pressure that seniors feel. So they tend to kind of play loose and play very well. Seniors sometimes, get the feeling it might be their last game if they lose, and sometimes that leads to not playing well. So we had the perfect combo last year of great senior leaders who were calm under pressure and juniors who played free. We'll see what we have this year. Our best players are going to be seniors this year, and sometimes, like I say, that's not a great recipe, and sometimes it is. So we hope our young guys get better every game, and then we get good leadership, and I think this team will be pretty good by the end of the year. Well, up front, our three big guys are Gavin Thorson, Caden Casey, and Cooper Conway. Casey and Thorson both had over 70 points last year. Conway was hurt about half the year, so he had his offensive numbers didn't look quite as impressive, but they're going to be our leaders up front. Throw in senior Mac Yell, and we're looking for big things offensively from him, and junior Ben Dahl as well. And after that, we're going to see who steps forward and kind of takes the mantle and runs. On the backside, Tristan May Robinson, senior captain, who's been a stalwart for us for 2 years now, and will be again for a third. And then Landon Stringfellow, a junior who played a regular shift last year and is getting better by the day. Back in the net, we lost Austin Bronze, who was probably the best goalie in Minnesota last year. So we're just looking for who's going to step forward and take that job. Got 4 very capable goalies, and any of them could be our starter by the end of the year.
The Tornadoes have some new dedicated members of their cheerleading squad. Let's check in with them to learn some more.
I started coaching this year. I used to coach at a different school for an elementary competitive team, so this is kind of a switch up, but I really like it.
My name is Jordan Waldinger, and I've been coaching here for 4 years. I'm going to be going on 5. I came here to be the assistant coach just right after I graduated high school, so I've been here for a bit.
Last year was kind of rough for us. We had a lot of drama, a lot of issues, but I feel like this year we have the most committed and hardworking team that I've ever seen.
Yeah, we are this is some of the most hardworking girls I've ever met. They're so committed. They want to win. They want to be here every day. They want to put in the work, and they want to get that bid.
I think there's just more energy, more effort. So I just think this team is just miles different than it was last year. They want to be here. I can tell they want to be here. They want to put in the work. They're putting in work outside of practice.
Yeah, the drive is really there. I enjoy it.
We learned from our middle school coaches that were old Anoka cheerleaders that learned different ways and different techniques and stuff. And basically, when we got our new coach, Caitlin, she brought in some new cheers that she did with her old team.
Also cheers that she had learned in high school herself.
Yeah.
So yeah, cheers end up kind of just being a big collaboration of what ends up working for the team and like what we like the most.
Our pyramids that we do in our competitive routine, we have performed them at football games. just to kind of practice it in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
And we've done a couple of routines at Pet Fest.
I think games that we cheer at, I feel that's more performing, and competitions I do view as like competing. Like it's more intense.
Our first competition of the year usually is regionals, and it's always the Saturday before Halloween. And then after that, we have competitions usually on Saturdays, every weekend or every other weekend kind of after that. Until like late February when Nationals is.
When I got hired, that was my goal to the AD, was I would like to take this team to nationals. That's a huge goal for coaches as well. So.
Coaching this team, we've gotten 2 bids, I think, and we just haven't gone yet. So I think that's always my goal.
Nationals. We want to get a bid to nationals. Yep.
The Rebels gymnastics team is committed to setting goals and improving throughout the season. Let's see what the team is up to and how they plan to seek success this winter.
We're down a bit, but I've always said I want to work with athletes who will work hard. Like, if you love gymnastics and you work hard, that's who I want to work with. And we've got a core group of great girls. We've got an awesome senior leader in Melina Ung. I don't know anybody that's worked harder. So it's been a pleasure to coach her, and she's already been an awesome, invaluable captain, and I know that will keep going through the season.
We lost about half of our team, I'd say, and then we got a lot of new middle schoolers, which is really nice, so that we have a really young team right now, and I think the season will be really fun. We have our summer practices, and then we also do, I tried to do monthly team bondings over the summer before season started.
So the technique is the thing that takes a little bit more time and repetitions to build, and well, really all those things, strength, flexibility, but the strength and flexibility are what we really focus on as a coaching staff. Of those are things we can control. If you're doing your splits daily and really working it, you'll get more flexible. If you're doing shoulder stretches, and we do partner shoulder stretches and a lot of different stretches, you'll get more shoulder flexibility. So the strength and flexibility we focus on a lot. We focus a lot on improvement. So it's always a goal of ours with both our varsity and JV to have the team from that first meet to the end meet improve 8 to 10 points. And last year I think we got almost to 12 with the varsity, and I think maybe even 13 with the JVs. So those continue to be our goals. So this year we're just focusing on rebuilding those good team habits and that mentality towards improvement. And we're going to try and beat those teams that are at that same level that we're at, and show that we worked to be our best on that day.
That's it for this edition of At the Half. Make sure to keep up to date with all your local sports coverage by liking and subscribing to our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube pages. Thanks for watching.
The thing that drives me every day as a dad is him. Every day he's hungry for something. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that he's a good person. I think the advice I would give is you don't need to know all the answers. It's okay to make mistakes. As long as it's coming from love, then it kind of starts to work itself out.
Dad. 1, 2.
It's a 2-1 Maple Grove Crimson lead over the Andover Huskies. Last 10 years in the meetings between these teams, close to even. Maple Grove has won 13, and Andover's won 10 games in the last 10 years entering this season. And the last 3 years, they've played 3 times. Each of the last 3 years, that's 9 meetings, and Andover's won 5. Maple Grove has won 4. We were scoreless through that first period, and Joe, we finally got some goals on the board in the final 3 minutes or so of that second period.
And Casey struck first for the Huskies, but you look at some good scoring opportunities early there for the Crimson in that second period. And there you can see Altman coming out to make some nice saves and diving on top to freeze the puck there. And another good look here as making that dive. Pads went right, he went left and decided to clog it up there. There's a first goal there, stuffing it there between the pads and lifting it up. The goal by Ellingson, his first of the season, and an assist on that went to Leno as well. And then their second goal there was scored by Finn. Finn got a nice dime that time by Steenerson. The Huskies countered with a lone goal this time by Casey. Casey scored the first goal of the game, just 19 seconds ahead of the goal by Ellingson for Maple Grove. With the Casey goal, he was assisted by May on that goal, but it's a 2-1 lead for the Crimson. They countered with 2 unanswered goals, Jim, as you'd mentioned, just before the end of that second period.
Casey's goal is at 13:38, then Ellingson tallied 19 seconds later, then Brink's goal came in the final minute. And that's one that broke the 1-1 tie. Crimson 2 and the Huskies 1. Upcoming schedules here for both of these teams. We mentioned Maple Grove. Both teams, of course, will get heavy into the conference schedule here as we get into the new year in January. Osseo, Centennial, Totino Grace, Blaine, Anoka, all conference games for the Crimson.
And that is fast, as you mentioned, at Osseo versus Centennial, Totino at Blaine. And then they host Anoka on the 21st. Season starts wrapping up on the 16th, mid-February for both of these teams. And the Huskies, they'll host Blaine on the 7th. Meanwhile, follow up with a trip to Robbinsdale, Armstrong, Cooper on the 12th. Host Rogers, a team that just continues to play well. Then they travel back again, it looks like, at Champlain Park on the 19th. And then they are hosting Elk River in Zimmerman, Northwest Suburban Conference. And I'll tell you, Rogers last season, end of the season, as you look at this standing room only crowd, they were undefeated, but the Huskies ended up with more points at the end of the season to win that Northwest Suburban Conference.
Yeah, the Huskies 13-2-0, and points-wise, Maple Grove ended up second with Rogers with a record of 11-3-1. The number of games the teams play in the conference, Joe, in the Northwest Suburban, because how they split it up, basically they kind of split it up competitive-wise. So the top programs are in one division, and the programs that are kind of the second division are in that other division. You play a team twice, that's each worth 1 point. You play one team once, that's worth 2 points in the standings. So they have to go with the point system, and the number of games are uneven. We're skating 5-on-5, but we still have a couple of penalties here that are being served, and they don't have that time up on the clock, so we can't see how much is left. But it was just 5 seconds left in that period. So we'll start about the first 2 minutes. Both teams will have a player that'll be unavailable. Conway and Kernan are both in the box for their respective teams. Maple Grove in the crimson uniforms and from their own zone. They push it up and out. Ellingson onto the stick. Brink comes in, shot. Pad save up the slot, and it's right onto the stick of the Huskies, Babineau. Oh, that was timely for Babineau to get that rebound. Now he takes a return pass from Conway back into the corner. Third period underway, 2-1 Maple Grove.
Well, what you're seeing from the Crimson, much more sustained possessions and scoring opportunities for the Huskies. It's come in burst plays, and that was the goal by Casey.
Shots on goal in that second period, 16-5 Maple Grove. For the game, 27-13 Maple Grove. So Maple Grove has doubled up the Huskies. They'll look for a way to be able to generate a little more offense here in the third period. There's a feed ahead. Conway dumped in. And ends up back in deep, bounces up off the goaltender back out to neutral, and then thrown back in by Perry. Dahl controls. Oh, and his pass to Perry. Snuck past him as Perry was dancing in lower half of the near circle. Comes back to Ben Dahl again. The junior 6-footer at a goal against Rosemont. Bank it ahead. May picks it off in his own zone for the Huskies. Up out to center. Teams exchange possession, and it's picked up Bush. Bush controls. Next whistle. I think those guys have come out of that box. Bush comes in on his backhand side. Ends up behind the net. Circles from behind. Then he cycles in a shot that sails high. Off the stick of Picanato. Back into the corner for Pardo. Andover in their own end. 2-minute mark, third period. 2-1 Crimson. Perry across the checkered line sent in.
Huskies, the minute they want to break out, they have a Crimson player right on them, and the Huskies there whistled fully offside.
Yeah, Gorowski intercepts, but he already had Yell in the zone, and he had committed to come across. Face off near dot, and 2 penalized players have come out of the box. Both teams have their full allotment as we continue 5-on-5. And a face-off win for Maple Grove. Crimson's Gavin Anderson flings it in, side of the cage. Flipped ahead, Cogswell, intercepted in the corner. Puck deflects high in the air, stays in play off the near side glass. Up to the point, held in Owen Smith. Smith gets it back from the high slot, and a shot knocked down by bodies out in front. Smith gets to it again here at the near point. Huskies find a way to battle it out. Yell was tangled up back near the Maple Grove line. Bodies being thrown around here. Belisle throwing his body around. Ends up back here near side. Imgren comes in, walks in. Save off of the right shoulder here. The goaltender Altman keeps it out into the corner. Back to the middle. Yell intercepts. Long shift here for this Husky line. And I think we're getting matching penalties again. Gorowski's going to go for Andover. Imgren for Maple Grove. Couple of matching penalties. Things starting to heat up a little bit for these two teams. It's the short fuses. It's an outstanding rivalry, Joe, and we've had a couple of matching penalties here the last few minutes of game play going back to last period.
Yeah, and you can see how that evolved right there. Center ice continuing some action there, but Andover looking for that way to kind of sustain more possession on that puck and build some more pressure here on the Crimson goal.
Cooper Conway throws it to the near side corner. Casey coming in along the far side. Conway again in the corner, coming to pinch down. And having none of that was Kernan. Up ahead to the blue line. Picked off Conway. Tries to split the D. Takes a shot from knee down on the ice on the left side. Roach had to make a save. Bodies flying at the far half boards. 2-on-2 the other way here for Maple Grove. At the line is Brink. Leaves it for Steenerson. He winds up a wrist shot. Kick save out of there by Altman off the left pad. Conway carries it back out to center. Casey attacks it here. Thorson a shot, pad save, trying to cover his Roach. And Marino wouldn't allow him to cover the puck. He'll play it safe, and here comes a face-off in the Maple Grove zone.
Both fantastic looks by both teams. Transition play, both on the attack. Of course, you see that hard wrister by Steenerson. Altman makes a nice save, and then that counter offer came the way there of Thorson.
Puck out of play. Nice catch at the bench by Andrew Leafblad off of the wall. Caught the carom off the wall. It's like playing the ball off the big green monster at Fenway. He played it perfectly.
Absolutely.
I still don't know. Looked like Jim Rice out there.
Oh, yeah, there's a name from the past. What is that?
Or Yaz. Bucket neutral. Finally controlled Sinclair for Maple Grove. Crimson have a 1-goal lead. Key early season matchup here in the Northwest Suburban Conference. Andover the defending champs. Near wing shot in off the body. Picanato with the shot. Saved by Altman. Rebound ends up near corner. Up the wall. Andover gains control. Comes out of the zone. Sauer tried to tap it ahead. Didn't connect. And intercepted Maple Grove. They circle back in their own zone. It's Bush. Comes in on the near wing. Coughed it up onto the stick of Pardo and out front. They score on a top shelf, and it's 3-1 Maple Grove.
What a wrister. Put that top shelf just under the crossbar, and Ellingson picks up his second goal of the night. We talked in the pregame. The scoring has to come from others off that first line. It was the second and third line. Ellingson, his second goal in that second line, picks up again another tally.
Yeah, what a shot. Blocker's side, just inside the post by Jay Ellingson. Second of the night, second of his career. And he's a key returner from injury. So you got to know that Coach Todd Berglund and his staff from Maple Grove very excited to have Ellingson back. So now Andover here on their home ice. They find themselves down by 2. Still a lot of time here. Just under 12 minutes left in the third period. The long feed, Giuliani. Babineau intercepts at center and flips it in for Andover. First one to it is the defenseman Anderson. And the Crimson will play it up ahead. Pass rink wide through the neutral zone. Intended for Joey Leafblad. Andrew Leafblad and Joey Leafblad. Seniors and sophomore brothers here for the Maple Grove team.
Huskies quickly trying to get that number 1 line back out there.
Casey's got it off his stick. Comes across onside. Centers Conway. Moves it to the high slot. Steenerson intercepts. He is tangled up with Conway, flipped back the other way by the Crimson, and pushed out by May. May finds Casey, dances, shot, wrist shot, glove side wide, rebound off the glass, Marganeau, and it's cleared back out to May in front of the boxes. The old referee's crease, that semicircle. Conway, Cogswell. Lost the handle, Thorson there to recover, spins on the Andover side of the red line. Gains the Maple Grove line, brings it to the backhand. He goes to the attack with a centering pass. Conway going to the net. And Conway was tied up and dumped. And a whistling hand pass. I don't think we're getting a penalty here, but a whistle and a stoppage regardless. Both of the penalized players are out of the box. Both teams have their full allotment. 10:41 left in the third.
And they'll reset the goal. As you can see, Thorson that time with a toe drag. Brought it to his backhand. Looked for that rebound, but worked it in, got the backhand there, and then dumped into the goal. That time was Roach, and then Huskies Conway also sent to the ice right after that.
Sawyer against Bush. Bush listed as a left wing, but he's been taking a lot of the draws for that line. That might have something to do with Ellingson coming back from his injury. Sawyer down the near wing to the dot, to the circle, down to the corner. Gets crunched into that corner. Ellingson. And for Jay Ellingson, it's got to be good to get back after missing the bulk of the season here, coming into this one tonight in a rematch of last year's title game. Bush comes in and a shot into the corner, off the glass, off the wall, near side. Approaching the 7-minute mark of the third period. 29-15 shots in favor of Maple Grove. There's Bush again, a little good back pressure there, coming back with Andover trying to carry it out of the zone, and it's out of play far side of the rink again.
Well, that second line for the Crimson had 9 goals coming in to tonight's game combined, and Ellingson added to that line as a centerman has certainly, elevated the play of that line. He's picked up 2 additional goals here, and now it's a 2-goal difference for the Crimson. Crimson come in with a 7-game win streak. Meanwhile, for the Huskies, a 3-game win streak.
Gorowski against Patefield on that face-off draw. Maple Grove a year ago, 23-7-1. Gorowski has it at center. Lost it. Good back check for Maple Grove coming back, and the Crimson bring it across the line. Imgrund in along the end wall. Penalty coming up. Referee's arm is up. This is going to be against Andover. It appears. A high stick in the near corner. Actually, it's going to be on Maple Grove. The Maple Grove netminder was guessing that it was against Andover.
I saw that.
He was headed to the bench, so you just assume, well, he should know, but apparently he wasn't sure either. But we'll get Andover with a power play. It's their third of the night.
Ingram will get the gate for Crimson, and let's see what the Huskies can do to cut it in this 2-goal deficit. There's the activity in the corner.
Yeah, just a high stick. You saw the replay right there. Good shot by our guys, and good replay from the truck. Imgren just got that stick up high. And that gives Andover a 2-minute power play. Their power play has been improved here in the last week. They'd love to get it going here. They need one, down 3-1. As Dahl slides into the corner, rings it around for Thorson. Thorson with a C on his uniform to the near side. Casey can't hold it in. Caden will have to go back and reset.
This power play, it's like moving day in the golfing tour. I think the Huskies need to make their shift and move here with this man advantage.
Yeah, got to make hay. Third power play for Andover. They're 0 for 2. Up to Casey, glides in, waiting for his shot. His wrister patted away by Roach. Rebound back up to May and to Casey. Back up and around Conway. Up high in the air, he'll have to come back and reset again in his own zone. He'll circle inside the blue line through the center circle for Dahl. Dahl down the right wing. Drops it back to Thorson. Didn't get all of it. Steenerson got a piece. Now Casey has it. Gives it up on the left side to Belisle with a shot, and Roach corrals it in.
Casey, a nice dime out to Belisle, who was coming in on that far side wide open. I didn't know if he was going to take that shot or fake it. And then trying to look at a better angle, but securing the save. And I'll tell you, Roach has done a good job of minimizing rebounds tonight.
Steenerson against Sauer. That puck is tied up right on the dot. It trickles in towards the netminder. Margano's the one who finds it, and then he finds a seam and an opening and sends it down. 45 seconds left in the Andover power play, down by 2.
Second power play unit in here for the Huskies. Cogswell at one point and Carlisle at the other.
Huskies started up. Here's Yell. Dumped in off the feed from Cogswell. Behind the net first time is Stelgis. Swings it not out. Sauer tried to tap it back to the blue line. Somebody got his stick from behind. It goes all the way out back to Cogswell at his line for the Huskies in those home white uniforms. Hand it off to Belisle. With Yell trailing, Belisle will dump it in, back and around, and out by the Crimson. Cleared all the way down. That's going to pretty much do it here for the Andover power play.
South of 8 minutes to go in this third period, and it's go time now for the Huskies. They've got to cut into this deficit.
Maple Grove at full strength. Both teams 0 for 3 on the power play tonight. Stick handling is Ellingson, already with 2 goals tonight. Making a big return to the lineup tonight here for the Crimson. Shot off the glove, knocked down and covered on the shot by Owen Smith, the defenseman. Face off in the Andover zone.
Altman flashing a little leather, hashtag FTL. Got the rebound off that initial save, but got the glove out there to make the save and keep the Huskies within 2 with 7:14 to go here in the third.
Huskies get to the puck in their own zone. Andover up and out. Caden Martin on that third line. Goaltender Roach got caught watching the puck outside the net. Maple Grove able to find it. Sinclair trying to track it down. Huskies clear. It'll be icing.
Shots on goal, 30-17, still in favor of the Crimson. But certainly those shots, 30-7, I would say I still remember a good 6 quality shots that have not gone in versus Altman. The score could be much worse than just a 2-goal deficit.
Yeah, 30 shots on goal here for Maple Grove. They're out of Section 5 AA. Could come down to them and Rogers again this year, as it did last year. Rogers is an outstanding program, a recent move in to both the conference and that section. Steenerson working his body, then he pivots below the right side. And on the short side attempt, it goes wide, back near side, back to Steenerson again. Backhand, bears down behind the net, looking to distribute as he carries it to the wall. Ends up getting a bump there from May. Centering pass wasn't there. Steenerson tried to corral, ends up back out to neutral, and Maple Grove in their own zone.
I've been impressed with Steenerson, a guy that big. He's so active.
Crimson doing a good job playing good hockey with the lead here, getting guys back. You know that Andover, with their guys Thorson, Casey, and Conway, they're going to try and spring them the other way. Maple Grove just has not allowed that. Here comes Thorson now, but Maple Grove gets back, and then he's challenged immediately. Wonderful defensive play by Picconato. Puck ends up in the corner to Conway on his backhand side. Couldn't get the shot off. It's Casey. Cogswell, wrist shot through traffic, blocked in the slot, and corralled Kiernan, and he comes the other way. Shot from the neutral zone, steered aside Altman, and the rebound comes all the way up to the line. Cogswell pushes it out. Back to the Maple Grove line, intercepted Thorson, this top line, double shifting here for Andover. Dahl helping out a little bit. But it's picked up left to right and across. Nice little toe drag. Giuliani brings it back to the right wing to the backhand. Then out in front with Altman getting turned around in the net. Dahl then the long feed to Babineau, just out of his reach. He was waiting at the blue line. Then he gives it to May, who tries to walk the left wing. Ends up in the corner along the end wall as we near 5 minutes left in the third period. And Maple Grove a 3-1 lead.
You can see some of the other lines trying to step it up here for the Huskies, but just not quite enough here.
Patefield in on the netminder, and the glove of Altman holds on for a face-off in the Andover zone now with 5 minutes remaining in the third period.
You mentioned a great defensive play by Maple Grove, and I tell you, Thorson came in ready to make some move, but anytime you can square him up defensively, that's a great move there by Crimson.
Pardo finds it in front of his net. Advances ahead to Perry. They'll chip it in deep. Tracking it down, Anderson. Perry was there as well, but Anderson sneaks it along the far side wall. A little bit behind Owen Smith. Smith, though, then to Bush. Bush shy of the line, poked away by Perry. Perry gives it to Dahl. He's 1-on-5. You can look at Maple Grove get back defensively. And ends up back behind that Maple Grove net. Helped around Anderson. Anderson to Sinclair. Sinclair with the lead pass, Ellingson. Ellingson, he gets stood up by Cogswell, then kicked away, and Belisle ends it up with on his blade of his stick as he kicked it with a skate. Bush, Cogswell far corner, up the wall, trying to control Perry. Brings it up towards the line. Intercepted Owen Smith for Maple Grove. Back, Casey bumps the player off. Now Thorson, who had the big tying goal, of course, in that state championship game. Late in the game, tried a two-man game along with Casey, didn't connect. Well defended by Maple Grove and cleared out again by the Crimson. May has it across the line, offside.
Boy, you could see Thorson working that stick, trying to get some mojo going for the Huskies, and he's got that capability, but couldn't find a good distributorship that time to dish off a good looking quality attempt there. But I'll tell you, the difference so far today is that Crimson have been able to stack their goals. 3 consecutive unanswered goals for Maple Grove.
Casey against Kernan. And this one whistled down. We'll bring it back out to neutral, it appears, with 13:36 left. Shots 30-17. So almost doubled up here for Maple Grove. And Crimson just a little deeper here. You look at their stats and you look at the game here tonight. They just got a little more depth than Andover, and that has been key. And certainly the return of Ellingson adds to their depth.
Much needed. Hey, both of those teams looking for ways to add to scoring ability on those second and third lines. And Ellingson has proven to be the difference tonight.
And that could happen with the Huskies as well. When they get Landon Stringfellow back at D, there's a good chance that Drew Law then moves up and skates again with Tristan May, and then you might see Brooks Cogswell then back at a forward. And certainly with his experience, he would add a little more depth on the forward line. Draw here near side. Casey against Kiernan, a couple of 15. Somebody just got upended. Skates up in the air near side. And a shot from the far side wall. Easy glove save by Altman. He spears and holds on off of the stick of Leno. Here's that play right there. Oh, up and over. Cartwheel almost on the check by Kiernan. And I think that was Thorson, 12. That took the brunt of that. Yeah, he's still out there, though, looking for the pass here in the near wing. It'll be Pardo along the end wall. Nearing 3 minutes left. And the home team, Andover, the defending state champs, they need 2 to even this up. Puck comes loose out to center. Walking across the line is Leno. Leno assisted on the first goal of the night here for Maple Grove. Ellingson's first of the night. That's the one that tied it up 19 seconds after Casey had given the Huskies a 1-0 lead. Conway 3-on-3 here at the line with a trailer on the defensive side. In for Casey. Tried a no-look pass back to the wing. Thorson tracks it down. He's in all kinds of traffic. Nice job stick handling here by Gavin. Now he takes a big bump into the corner. He goes down up to the point. Cogswell. Here's the shot by Belisle, and the save in the glove of Roach, who's been a steadying influence all night long here for Maple Grove in the nets.
And hey, you look at it with Andover, 1 goal, and they're back in it. Pull the goalie, get some activity going here, and we're going to get a look and see what they're going to do with Altman here.
Well, he was headed to the bench, and now he's going back, even with the draw here in the Maple Grove zone. 2:23 left. We'll keep an eye on Altman. He's inching towards the net out in front. Oh, Cogswell sent it right to the doorstep. Beautiful. And it was directed, just directed wide by Babineau, I think it was. It was either Babineau or Dahl.
Actually, Martin on that last shot attempt was just fanned.
Caden Martin was the one out in front of the net. And directed it just wide. Get bodies to the front of the net, get into that grease pan. Cogswell this time with a wrist shot that saucers in on Jack Roach. Let's take a look at the replay on that last chance, if we have a chance here in the Andover look, as Altman is heading back to the bench here. He'll get a pull, an extra tacker here for Andover.
Yes, they will. So score. Here's a beautiful setup. Cogswell. Not quite that one.
No,
but
that was the one after that.
But he fed that one to the backside and cut it in.
We haven't called Cade Martin's name all night.
Almost got a chance to call it. Here's an empty
net on the other end. So 6-on-5 Andover. May in his own zone. Again, the Huskies need a couple. And May, see on his uniform, one of the team captains. Pass ahead, a little bit behind Sauer. Slapped out by the Crimson. May has it again. Dumps it in with 90 seconds left. Maple Grove to it first, and Casey has to play it out to neutral. Everybody will have to reset. May waits, dumps it in, gloved, and flipped the other way again. Nicely done by Picconato. And it'll be icing, though. That one had enough to make it all the way down. So the face-off will be in the Andover, in the Maple Grove zone, with the Andover net empty on the other end.
Well, Huskies have made some burst plays and just missed on that last tip opportunity. As you look at the empty net for the Huskies, and they came in with a 3-game win streak.
Timeout.
And a 7-game win streak for the Crimson. And talked to Coach Manny before the game, and says one player that certainly do miss is Weston Knox back there. He's a great team leader. He knew how to pick the guys up. He knew when to say something, when to kind of guide them. I still remember last year in that championship game against Maple Grove, Dahl was whistled for the penalty, and you could see at that time the sophomore was down. Knox went over there. It was a TV timeout, so you and Lou Natty could have some more time. And I could see Knox come over there and just console him and keep his head in. I asked him at the press conference afterwards what he said. He said he just needed to be able to kind of pick him up and keep his head in it. And Manny, I know Coach Mark Manny referred to Knox as FEMA. He manages to pick up some of the messes and the trauma that maybe he says I create as a coach or other things.
That's a great line.
And he cleans it up, and I remember that one well. And he says that's what maybe we could need more of this year, and trying to find somebody, because we have some good leaders. They like to lead by example, and more quiet leaders, whereas Knox was more of an overall team and a vocal leader as well.
And of course, Weston Knox will be following his coach, Mark Manny.
Yeah.
Heading to Air Force after probably just 1 year in juniors, I'm sure. So
Minot,
a long discussion. Yeah, the Minot Minotauros. So 6 skaters for Andover as they break the huddle after the timeout. Maple Grove still has their timeout if they choose to use it. Kernan against Thorson into the corner, and still in the corner. And it'll be helped around. Picconato, who's played big minutes tonight. Thorson, top of the near circle, bouncing through off of bodies. Rebound, Dahl! Loose puck ends up behind the net. Cleared up, but Casey gets to it at the point. He throws it to the net with a minute left. And it's cleared out by the Crimson. Casey back to get it. Little shake and bake on Steenerson. Rink wide at the line. Cogswell comes across, rings it around off the glass. It's Dahl with under a minute left to go. Steenerson finds it towards the empty net. It'll be wide and icing. How about that?
Whoa. I enjoy watching the skating skill of both of these teams, but watching Casey to be able to, as you said, shake and bake with the defenders shadowing in his breezers, moving left and right to bring the puck back up, also to hold his own.
Here's another one towards the empty net. It'll be icing again. Of course, in high school hockey, you can change, so there's really the only negative to doing that, going for the empty net, as they continually have draws in your zone. And again, these teams split their 2 regular season games last year, 5-3 Andover and 4-1 Maple Grove. Correct me if I'm wrong, each team winning on the other team's rink, right?
Correct.
Joe, last year?
Correct, absolutely. 4-1 here, the loss.
Cleared by the Crimson. Casey back in his own zone. Just 30 seconds left and a 2-goal Maple Grove lead. May steers it in, intercepted Margano. That one is in the empty nets from 125 feet away.
Well, even a broken clock is right twice a day. They took enough shots at the empty net, and finally Crimson finds the back of the empty net on that goal by Leno, who got an assist on the first goal of the game and now collects the empty netter.
I thought it was 13, Margano. Wasn't it Margano?
We'll take a look and see. You may be right. Nonetheless, it's going to probably end up 4-1.
16:38 time of the goal for Maple Grove. They scored 2 goals here in the third period. Final 13 seconds. 31-20 shots, and Maple Grove is going to win their 8th consecutive game, pick up their 10th win of the season. And there's the horn, a rematch of last year's Class AA championship. And congratulations to Maple Grove. The Crimson come away with a victory here at Andover. The teams will meet again in February. Mark it down, Saturday, February 11th at the Maple Grove Community Center. Joe, your thoughts?
Well, you know what? Second line made the difference, right? Tonight, a couple of goals by Jay Ellingson, his first 2 goals of the game. And that second line countered. They were able to stack the goals. Was Maple Grove 4 unanswered goals, including that last empty netter. Huskies, the other piece, not able to really sustain that pressure. Their scoring opportunities really came on burst, and hence that opportunity in the first goal by Casey, the lone goal for the Huskies tonight.
Shots on goal for the game, 31-20 Maple Grove. Andover had the edge in the third period, 8 shots to 5 shots. Both teams 0 for 3 on the power play tonight. And the win goes to Maple Grove. These teams, like we said, will play again at Maple Grove on a Saturday. Get your tickets now for that. And of course, these are teams that could certainly and will certainly, I don't think can, I think will certainly be in the mix for trips to the tourney coming up in March.
I mean, you look at section play. Granted, we're a month away from starting that, but you got to think Grand Rapids will be in that race, and along with Duluth East starting to get better and better, and trying to kind of feel that piece. And then, of course, Maple Grove and Rogers. Boy, if I had to put some early odds and probability if that would be the final in that section, I would probably put it at about 90%.
You see the 2 coaches there, both Coach Todd Manny and Todd Berglund at center ice. Like we said, such mutual respect for both of these coaches and both of their programs. And they have become in the Northwest Suburban Conference, along now with Rogers, kind of the 3 teams that are kind of at the top. And Centennial's battling in there, and Champlain Park, also a team to watch here this season, as well as Andover had to rally for a big come-from-behind winner at Champlain Park, a game you were at, Joe.
Correct. And Champlain Park started in that game 2-0 with that lead. Huskies the next 3, including the game winner in overtime.
Yep, Maple Grove gets the win. They are 10-2 now on the season. They host Blaine on Saturday at 3 o'clock. Andover falls to 7-5-1 with this loss. They will be at Osseo on Saturday. Dick Vraw Ice Arena in Osseo. That'll be a 7 o'clock drop of the puck. For Joe Ruland, I'm Jim Eriks. For everybody in the truck as well from Andover. One your final score in the rematch of last year's AA title game. Maple Grove with the victory here tonight, 4-1. Good night, everybody.